What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are ready to go. Last day of November. Man, that's crazy. We got one more month left. How is that? How is that possible? One, like 31 days after this? And then we see the 2024 on the calendar. That's kind of crazy. But that being said, make sure you guys are fully aware it is the last day of the month because part of trading is one, trying to hit some good trades, trying to lock some gains, but money management is a huge part of it. So just understand where you're at. If you're up, down, all around for the month, make sure you're aware of that and take trades accordingly. That's what I will be trying to do as well today. But we got Al in the house. Good morning to you. We got Albert. Good morning. Bill, Brian, Christopher, Cindy. We got D, Fabrice, George, Jay, Linder. Good morning to Jeff, P, Joe, John Alonzo's in the house. Good morning, JT, Martina, Rick GJ's in the house. Good morning to you, Ron. We got Ryan, Tim, Win, Wally, all my peeps out in YouTube land. Good morning to all of you. We got Richard Jet in the comment section. For all you other guys that are just just lurking in the background, it's okay. I still love you. Just hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind. It's just I host it on YouTube for free, just for the low cost of one thumbs up. That's it. That's all. But let's get started with the market. Let's kind of review what happened yesterday. What happened yesterday? No, that's not rhetorical. I'm asking you guys what happened. What happened? We were pretty close. So yesterday, pre-market, we said look, we got a big run up. We were kind of comparing it to maybe the October CPI report that came out last year, where that was kind of the bottom of the market. So the question is this the top? For me to really say that, I was looking for if that's going to happen. And again, it was big if, but we would almost need a big bearish engulfing candle. And we didn't quite get that yet. So not the same exact reaction as October. So I think we survived that one. If we're looking at where yesterday's VPOC was, right, that came in right around somewhere around 452.25. We just came in, we retested that beautifully, and we are gapping above now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of VPOC. So that's still relatively bullish. Technically, it is gap and go. We are inside day. I think we will now have a little bit more resistance, probably at this 457.17, if we could get there. But let's just take a look pre-market real quick. We're starting to pull back a little bit more, at least on a 5-minute chart. Big area is about 54.70. That comes into kind of where we were at yesterday, but little pullback. I want to stay a little bit more bullish, so I don't want to give it back. I think all of this was just at this point a retest and not something to be concerned with too much yet. I'd have to now throw it back into this candle from 2 days ago. If we start to break that, we probably come. I don't think this is going to be like, all right, this is the top of the market. I don't think so. I think we probably go a little bit higher. But if we start breaking down really now, Tuesday's candle, we got one little support here, but that's probably going to be more of an inkling of, all right, we get a pullback and not just a pure drop. Otherwise, for right now, this gap is looking pretty good in the morning, right above a whole bunch of VPOCs. I would still stay bullish. We've already came in now. We've retested everything and kind of cleared the levels and good to go again. So for me, I'm staying bullish. Maybe a slight little pullback at open. Maybe some people who are not really familiar with the markets and how things work, and they're like, man, we just gave back all those gains. That's bearish. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just profit taking and clearing the path for higher. So for me, I'm going to see if we can get a little dip at open, and I'm going to be buying the dips today is essentially my goal. Qs, very same thing. So not a bearish engulfing candle, just kind of came in, it retested. We've seen this a lot, even on individual names do this a bunch. So I'm not really too worried. Relatively okay gap on this one, nothing too crazy. I think the SPY is a little bit stronger than the Qs today. For the Qs to really, I think looking at the Qs, we're probably going to hit resistance around 391.09. Realistically, I think that's going to be a big spot. If we could get a close above that, I think going into next week will be very, very strong. My assumption, if I had to take a stab in the dark at this one, is the market's going to want to keep us guessing for another 2 days, or I think the end of the month is a Friday. I don't know why that works like that in my head, but we still have tomorrow. Uh, my assumption is probably we stay inside this candle today. I think we get a close somewhere relatively close to open, maybe close at 391. But if we close a little higher, I think that is um, positive for the market, and that could give us a pretty decent bullish day tomorrow. If we get any close below 389.17, I think we get a little bit more concern in the market that this is going to continuation and this retest is not going to be bought up, and we're probably not buying dips anymore. So I got a little bit of a range I'm looking for. I think most likely, more than likely, we stay inside that range for today. We get a little range bound. Win is saying Cybertruck launch today. Uh-huh. Today's the last day of the month, but I forgot for the week we still got one more trading day. That's it. Brenda says at Win, hope this helps me recover my 1R loss from yesterday. That's the beauty about time, Brenda. Everything gets healed over time. Don't even worry. Don't even worry. So that's the cues. We'll take a look at Tesla. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the Tesla Cybertruck dealio is 12 noon Eastern, I believe. So watch Tesla. It's probably going to be a little volatile. Again, like I said yesterday, I don't know how Tesla's going to act. A lot of times on the Apple news, though, you do find that it is a sell the news type event. So I'm kind of thinking that's what happens on Tesla. We've already like what else are we gonna find out about the Cybertruck? It's not like we're introducing new products. He's already shown it to us. He's already shown that unbreakable glass window, aka breakable glass window, one of them. But we've already seen the truck, so now it's like, okay, here's a little party for it, I guess. But I don't know. TLT, so TLT a little bit of a gap down. That would be a little concern. I am still hanging out above a moving average. That's 91.82. So still in an okay place, but it is a gap and go to the bearish side. Again, we'll see if this one wants to dip a little bit further. That will imply a little bit of extra pressure into the market. Maybe it doesn't make the market necessarily go down, but I think it prevents it from pushing up a little bit higher. So keep an eye on TLT. That is a gap and go to the bearish side. Still got a little support here. We could get some kind of a bounce. And again, I'm looking still to just buy bounces. I'm a bounce buyer today. We'll see what happens though. Let's see. We got Liza's in the chat. We got Daniel in the chat. Good morning to you. Leonard, good morning. We got Anthony, real virtual demand. Good morning. We got Alan. Good morning to you. Julie, good morning to you as well. We got Tesla and Snow on the list. All right, so we were talking Tesla. We'll pull that one up first. Tesla's in trouble. I don't know. I just made that up. But how do you guys feel about that? You guys feel a certain kind of way? I'm looking at this 250 zone. So we were looking at that one yesterday. We breached it really quick, but that's my level. That's my high volume zone. Until we get a close over Tesla up here, it's a little risky to go bullish. We did put in a VPOC yesterday at 248.77. So I've got resistance over there. I got resistance at 250. We have a ton of resistance that we got to get through. Hopefully, the little fireworks show from the Cybertruck launch, we could get that close above 250. That's our launching pad, though. That's where we need to get above to really make some kind of a stance. The next target up from that is about 264. But until that, yesterday was a gap up. People were bullish, and why not? You got an Elon pump show coming out today. That was all a retest. We still stayed kind of in the upper third region. This is going to be an absolutely huge candle, but really, I would love to see anything above 252.92, but I'll settle if it's anything above 250. I think that's good too. So that's going to be the key area. Otherwise, you got support right below you, 242.09. That would be the first spot. I would be considering to go long. So if this one comes down a little bit more, especially before 12 noon, I guess I would take a shot. And Elon is a pumper. I mean, there's nothing else you can say about that. I think he was on CNBC pumping yesterday, or attempting to pump, or just going crazy. One of them, going crazy. I don't know. The next level after that, and this I think would be a really good level to try, which would be about 237.55. So I want to see how that first level handles. Right in this zone at open, it's probably a nothing burger. I don't think I would be too interested risk reward side. To the downside, at least if we think that we're going to stop here 241.96, You got about $2 and change to the downside. And then the higher side for yesterday's VPOC would be about 248. So you got about $4 higher. You are at roughly yesterday's open. Maybe some bulls might be starting to look to come into that. I don't think it's gonna be a huge move yet until we break through. So again, yeah, if we pull back a little bit, I'll look around the zone. I'll be cautious around this 242 zone. Would love to get something around 237.02. I don't know. I might be asking for too much. We'll see what happens. But technically, we didn't quite get to that VPOC from 2 days ago. We got very, very close to it. Maybe close enough where that's decent. And if you're buying at the open of Tesla, you are at least buying well, not from the open of yesterday, but from the close of yesterday. So still hanging out at that price. We are up a little bit. It is technically gap and go, so maybe a little more bullish edge. We'll see how that first candle plays out. Otherwise, it's not like it's a an absolutely clear stretch one way or the other for Tesla. Snow did come out with earnings yesterday. They beat on all fronts. So earnings per share, they were up 9 cents. Surprise beat to the higher side. That's about a 57% upside. Surprise revenue came in $20 million, 2.86 to the higher side as well. Pretty nice gap on this one. This is all a retest gap as well. In terms of resistance, I think this one could go a little bit higher. I mean, it is a really, really good gap. It is a large one though. I tried to short GM like a total dummy yesterday. Just didn't want to budge. So we'll see what happens. But Snow is I think we hit a little resistance somewhere around this 190.32 zone. So limited upside unless again, I don't have a reason to believe until it actually happens. I don't know what's going to happen with the stock. But if we start getting above this 192.03, this one I think will have quite a little bit more room to run. But that is a pullback. We've had a run into it. We should have some people profitable. I think this came into roughly in line with expectations. I think for options, it's still in the range of what people were expecting. So I think this one probably ends up fading lower. Could be a decent buy opportunity though. They've been surprise beating for quite some time now. So revenue, earnings per share, relatively decent. Overall, I do think Snow's a pretty decent company in general. But you're also, if I was to draw a line, I think you're also right in the top of this channel as well, which is not going to help the bullish case on anything. So we're opening essentially right at that little opening line. We'll see what happens. And I'd be looking for fade. I'm not going to go bullish at open. If we get a little pullback, I'd see what happens. Maybe somewhere around like 186.36. We could get a bounce there. Otherwise, if that starts a break, I think we head on back. I don't know if it's a full on retest, but I think at least to probably 179, something in that zone. Let's take a look at CRM. I think that one was moving. This one's moving a little bit more than expectations. That options at least we're pricing in. I have a little bit of resistance, probably somewhere around 253.64. It moved roughly about double what options were expecting. So this one's gonna have a little bit more volatility, I think, than Snow. If anybody, I would think if anybody was buying calls yesterday or this week for CRM, there's going to be a lot more profit on these calls, I think. And with that resistance there, I'd probably also look for a little bit of a fade. I think if we do fade, we're probably getting to maybe 244.53, 244.70, somewhere in that zone, I think is where bulls might want to step in, try to protect the positions or look for an entry back in. So I'd be looking for that. And then if we start to break under that 250 or 244.50, there's a free fall into at least probably 238.24. So CRM, I think we could get a decent move on this one. Probably, I think we get some profit taken out of the gate, my guess. But we'll see. Boeing for Jay Linder. What a recovery Boeing had, huh? I thought this thing was going to stop closer to about 212. And Boeing said, what do you know? Again, a little bit of a retest gap. Nice little gap up, though. once the foot was removed from the neck. Yeah. Uh, oh. I wouldn't be buying this one at open. Does look strong though. I would need almost a pullback into like 224.33. It's not enough room, I think, for me to short this one. Resistance on this thing is, so if you want to take long, or let's say they give you an opening high wave candle, you're looking to take a break. This one, I'm gonna put this one on the list. If this one does an opening high wave candle, I will take this one to the bullish side, because that at least would be a little bit of a dip to some extent. It's got to have that wick at the bottom for it to say, hey, we're attempting a dip. I think this one gets continuation, and my target on this one probably takes us to about 228.99, so roughly 229. We could probably make some money on that one. I don't know if I want to hold it past 229. I think that's going to be a very, very tough level for it to break. If it does break, the next level up is probably about 232. Which Boeing could do some wild. I mean, Boeing goes from like almost no range, like $2 range, to $10 range. And I just don't know a day. So, yeah, buying a pullback, looking for continuation there, I think looks good. There's definitely going to be people profitable at this gap open. It's not a huge one, but small little pullback, give me a high wave, and I think that would be set to go bullish. I'd rather stick with the trend on that. All right, Patricio, good morning. Amazon gapping down. What happens, Zon? What happened to you? Yeah, a little bit of a gap down. That's a retest. So it's a bearish retest gap. This one, I'm looking at the first little support probably around 144.40. I think that's a breakable level. And then target would be about 143.67. I do like the fact that we're breaking down some of those wicks. Keep in mind, so let's talk emotions real quick. Let's get emotional. Let's get deep. Really the last candle, we've been in a little bit of a range. I think the last candle that really affected somebody's emotion was this one. Maybe this one with the bearish engulfing candle, but even that, the follow through came here. So people were probably making position moves on that candle, not so much on that one. If I was bullish Amazon and I see this gap up and I'm like, okay, cool, retest gap. We bearish engulfing this, causing a little bit of confusion, maybe. However, some bulls might be like, well, let's just buy it at the previous support. It was a retest and we just retested. This candle then causes a little bit of emotion. Everything else from that point inside this range, you're not really jumping out of your seat with major gains, major losses. You're just kind of hanging out there. That candle might make you feel some kind of way, and then we're really back into this zone. So for me, it would be a buy low, sell high. So if this does retest, which it is a retest gap, I think shorting around that price, maybe into these lower levels here, which is roughly probably about 146.54. Throw a stop at like 158.65 would give you a comfortable stop. And then that gives you a lot more room to the downside, which again probably takes you to about 143.67, potentially maybe down to like 143-ish. So I think you have your range right here. You're smack in the middle of it. So I'd have to have it go one way or the other first. And then, which I think this one gets bought up at open, and then that would be your opportunity to short probably a little bit later in the day, I would assume. Larkin says, good morning, DJ Dan. I followed you on Insta. I appreciate that. We're Insta buddies. Now we're Insta friends. RIVN, would you consider that a triple bottom or a head and shoulders? What does your VPOC say? Let me ask the magic VPOC, RIVN. No, I could take a look at meta though. RIVN. So I played this a few times. I would think that this one would be. I would say this is an inverse head and shoulders. So I'm looking at this going, There's a couple things interesting in Rivian. But this is your left shoulder. This would be the head. This would be the right. It's a small move down. It's not a huge one. Uh, but I would say it's probably you have at least some level of support down here, 1690, and then I think it does look a little bit head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulders. There's your neckline. We did have 3 days of green with a gap up yesterday. So obviously, anybody who's buying technically 4 days of green with that little inside candle, but anybody buying any of those days, they were all profitable in this gap. So realistically, this was a stock that hit a moving average right there. People are taking profits maybe there for sure. And then this is a retest. So this is, I think, all profit taking. We have a small little gap up today. Nothing crazy. I don't know how this one's going to be affect. Watch today though, because technically direct competitor of Tesla. I don't know how it's gonna. I don't know. I mean, if everything on Tesla, if Tesla's window breaks again, Rivian's probably gonna go higher. I think that's the real test for Rivian. Otherwise, this one could come down a little bit lower even if we do like a Fibonacci. So let's say this is our range. Somewhere about here is our 50% retrace. So I think you have some buyers looking there. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's built a little bit of a base. Obviously, for the bullish side, it's gonna be tough with all these moving averages kind of coming in on it. So I would like to see a little bit of a more of a pullback if I was to try this again. Give me a couple extra days of consolidation in here, and then I think that builds enough steam for us to push bullish. So otherwise, in a longer term, we're just kind of chopping between this range, and we are slightly at the higher end of that range. In terms of VPOC, though, I'm looking at resistance on this one today. He's going to come in at 1780. So I'd want to see a close above 1780 on this one, and then to the downside, the immediate downside is 1719, and then after that, probably about 1660. So you have a few levels of support being built up. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. So the trend is bullish. This is, I mean, even though it's a red candle, it's just a retest, and I think that direction does continue. But I would love to see like today or tomorrow, just give me some more build up, some more chop, and then look to take the break out of that chop would be pleasant. Let's see, which one didn't I cover? Meta just been spiraling, and not even, I mean, if we flip it over to the intraday, yeah, that seems deep. It's like, oh no, the world's ending on Meta. You flip it to the daily, you're like, wait, hold on, how much are we still up? We're still up crazy amounts. So could get a little pullback, potentially a little bit of head and shoulders on Meta at this point. We'll see. Not really gapping, still inside yesterday's candle. I would see if we could get bought up a little bit, but if you're looking to short this one, 330, 363 would probably be an appropriate spot. You do have moving averages finally starting to catch up. So I think that gives us a little support. And realistically, even after all of this, like, oh man, the stock is dying now. It's crazy. We're still just in this channel, realistically. Something like that. So as long as we continue in this chop, it's not really anything too crazy. If we start breaking underneath it, I think this is more likely on Meta. But the longer we stay up here, the more likely it actually breaks out northbound than anything with the bullish pressure and moving averages catching up on it. So for today, for a day trade, I think it's gonna be tough. I would look to short if it goes up higher, continue the trend. This is a bearish engulfing candle. The problem with this one for me is targets, and I think down at that level, which is somewhere at, I don't know, maybe 331.01 is going to be a relatively, so we'll just call it 331, but that's going to be a decent support with another big support of a moving average coming in right behind it. So targets to the downside's rough. Unlike some of the other stocks, though, this is not a retest. It is a bearish engulfing candle. Again, probably just chops around inside that range, at least for a little bit, I would assume. All right, let's look at NVIDIA. We got 4 minutes left. NVIDIA. Video. Um, inside day, nothing too crazy on this one too. This was a failed gap and go, so we did gap up higher at open. We did make a little bit of a run, and we failed it. I mean, not to say that the entire market didn't pull back as well, so that's not going to help anything in a bullish direction. But little bit of resistance that we're below right now. So 481.91's resistance. Here's a level. The next one is 480.17. We already hit that and broke through yesterday. We didn't quite hit 477.35. That's going to be the key level. I think I would prefer a short on NVIDIA if I had to choose. With targets to that 477.14 zone. But we're now in 1, 2, 3, 4 days of pure chop. Still got the same, very similar to Meta in terms of the moving averages. So we do have the moving averages creeping up on us, and that's going to give us that additional support, or at least make it a little more difficult to really break down until we get either one more pop higher. So let's say now we get, I think anyway, let's say we start to get a little bit of a breakout. If we now see a lower high come in, and we can't quite get to that point, this is a much better area to short if we get that break. I don't have any reason to believe that we're getting that break yet or today, but I think in some time we get that, we kind of retest at least this level. And now if we start to break that or start to roll over and not get that new higher high, I'm much rather short up here than really short here. And for day trade, you're kind of range bound a little bit. So a little bit tougher on at least for now until market opens and we see certain levels break. I can't go one way or the other. But if we start getting any type of intraday close above, I would think probably 482.13, you could get a nice little trade up to at least 487.40 again. And I think this is my target, 496.75. That should be a tough one to break through. But we'll see right now at open. And the other same concept though. Let's see how 477.14 holds. That would be an interesting spot to look to buy and see if we get a pure retest over that, and then throwing some kind of stop maybe at like 474.12, get below that moving average, I think would be decent too. So we shall see. How much time I got left? Like 1 minute. We'll take a look at Crocs. Crocs, I mean, it just goes bullish. That's it. I don't know what else you need to know about Crocs. Just buy it, close your eyes, forget your password to your account, and eventually you'll have more money. It only goes up. Nice little break though. So it's been on a little downtrend. Recently, we've been making some waves higher. You're at a pretty decent key resistance. I've got a much bigger target, probably about 122. So there's some more room on this one, but I wouldn't be buying here. Longer term, at least see if we can get a little pullback and then push up higher. Otherwise, yeah, I think it's just starting to enter that little chop zone, and probably needs course correction first. Pan W. Another one, just it's been absolutely a monster. Gapping down slightly at open. There's no real resistance anywhere on this thing. And it's a very tough level to buy. I can't honestly say I would like to buy Pan W up here. It doesn't mean it can't go higher. It probably can. But for me, if this pulls back, 50% retrace takes me to about 265.86. I would be interested in that spot. I only got like 1 second left. There's that morning bell. Everybody on YouTube, I appreciate you joining us. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button before you head on out. Be safe in the markets. I'm kind of expecting